I built that company from a rented desk and sleepless nights, yet they erased me in under 5 minutes. My own board voted me out while cameras flashed and employees whispered. My husband sat beside the new CEO, my former protege, and didn't defend me. I walked out carrying a cardboard box, humiliation burning hotter than betrayal. I thought it was over. I thought I had lost everything, my title, my marriage, my name on the building. But 10 minutes later, as I stood frozen in the lobby, someone knocked on the glass door behind me, and everything changed. The email arrived at 7:40 a.m. emergency board meeting. Mandatory attendance. No agenda. No explanation. I was the founder and acting CEO of Ardent Biotech. I didn't receive surprise meetings. Yet when I stepped into the executive boardroom, 12 pairs of eyes avoided mine. The blinds were half closed, cutting the morning light into sharp lines across the polished table. My nameplate had been moved. To the far end. Next to the legal counsel. My husband, Daniel, sat at the head of the table. In my chair. My stomach tightened. "Daniel," I said carefully, forcing a smile. "Why are you sitting there?" He didn't smile back. Across from him sat Victor Hale, my former protege. The man I had mentored straight out of business school. The man I had trusted with our expansion strategy. He wore a navy suit I'd once complimented. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The chairman's seat at the center remained empty. Strange. Daniel cleared his throat. "Let's begin." My pulse spiked. Begin what? Victor slid a thick folder across the table toward me. "An internal investigation," he said, voice steady. Too steady. I didn't touch it. "What investigation?" Daniel finally looked at me. Cold. Detached. Like I was a stranger. "Allegations of financial misconduct," he said. "Misuse of company funds. Undisclosed transfers. Personal enrichment." The words rang in my ears. "What?" I laughed softly, waiting for someone to join me. No one did. "You think I stole from my own company?" Victor leaned forward. "We have documentation." I opened the folder. Bank statements. Wire transfers. My digital signature authorizing offshore accounts. My breath caught. This is fabricated. Daniel's jaw tightened. "It's verified by compliance." Compliance reported to Victor. "Of course." I looked around the room. "You all know me. I mortgaged my apartment to launch this company. I skipped chemotherapy rounds for my mother to close our first funding deal. You think I'd sabotage it?" Silence. One board member avoided my gaze. Another stared at his phone. Daniel stood. And that was when I knew. "This board has voted," he announced. Effective immediately, Olivia Carter is terminated as CEO and removed from all executive authority. My name. Spoken like a verdict. "You can't do that," I said quietly. "I hold majority shares." Victor slid another document toward me. Share transfer agreement. My signature again. Dated 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was in the hospital. Recovering from emergency surgery. I looked at Daniel. He didn't blink. "You told me those were temporary authorization forms," I whispered. He didn't deny it. Instead, he said, "You were unstable. On medication. The company needed protection." Protection. From me. Rage burned through my humiliation. "You forged my control while I was under anesthesia?" Daniel's voice hardened. "Lower your tone." The legal counsel shifted uncomfortably. "Ms. Carter, security is prepared to escort you out." Security? For me? Victor finally looked up. There was something like pity in his eyes. That hurt more than hatred. I stood slowly. "I built this company," I said, voice shaking but loud enough for the entire floor to hear through the glass walls. Employees had begun gathering outside. Word traveled fast. "You built it," Victor replied softly. "But we'll grow it." "We." Daniel placed his wedding ring flat on the table. A quiet, metallic sound. "Our personal matters will be addressed separately," he said. Personal matters. After 15 years of marriage. After I funded his MBA. After I gave him equity. "You planned this," I realized. Daniel didn't answer. Victor did. "It's business." Security stepped closer. The doors opened. And the whispers began. I walked past my own employees, people who once applauded me at town halls. Now they stared. Some shocked. Some curious. A few satisfied. Humiliation tastes metallic. Like blood. I reached the lobby. The receptionist avoided my eyes as she handed me a cardboard box. My framed award. My family photo. My nameplate. I stepped outside. The glass doors slid shut behind me. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The building had my name engraved in steel above the entrance. Carter Tower. My knees weakened. I thought of my mother's funeral, of promising her I would make this company untouchable, of Daniel holding my hand at the cemetery. All lies. I felt something break inside my chest, not loud, but final. I walked toward the curb, clutching the box. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then a firm knock. Behind me, on the locked glass lobby door. I turned slowly. Standing inside, tall and unmistakable, was Chairman Edward Liang, the founding investor, the man who hadn't attended a board meeting in 2 years. He wasn't supposed to be in the country. His silver hair gleamed under the lights. His expression was unreadable. He knocked again and gestured for me to come back. Inside the building I had just been thrown out of, my heart began to pound. Upstairs, through the glass walls, I could see movement in the boardroom. Victor standing. Daniel looking confused. The chairman lifted a sealed envelope. And for the first time that morning, I saw fear. Not in me. In them. The security guard hesitated when Chairman Liang tapped his cane against the marble floor. Open the door, he said calmly. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The doors unlocked instantly. I stepped back inside the building that had just exiled me. The receptionist looked like she might faint. Chairman Liang didn't greet me with sympathy. He didn't hug me. He simply studied my face. Miss Carter, he said evenly. Walk with me. We didn't take the elevator. We took the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. Each step echoed like a countdown. When we reached the executive floor, the boardroom doors were closed. Raised voices filtered through the glass. Victor. Daniel. Arguing. Chairman Liang pushed the door open without knocking. Silence detonated inside the room. Daniel's face drained of color. Mr. Liang, we weren't expecting. That is precisely the problem, the chairman replied. He walked to the head of the table, to my chair, and sat. Victor stood frozen. Sir, the board has already voted. I am aware, Chairman Liang said. I watched. The air shifted. Watched. Daniel repeated. The chairman placed a thin black device on the table. A remote. He pressed a button. The wall screen flickered to life. Security footage. Dated 3 months ago. Hospital corridor. Daniel speaking to a man in a gray suit I didn't recognize. The man handed him a USB drive. Then another clip. Victor entering my hospital room while I was unconscious. A tablet in his hand. My digital signature being captured. The timestamp glowed in the corner. My breath left my body. I never authorized that, I whispered. No, Chairman Liang agreed. You did not. Victor stepped back. This is taken out of context. Sit down, Liang said quietly. Victor obeyed. The chairman folded his hands. For the past 6 months, I have received anonymous reports suggesting irregular financial movements. Rather than confront anyone prematurely, I initiated a private forensic audit. He looked at Daniel. The funds were not transferred to Ms. Carter's accounts. The screen changed. An offshore company. Registered owner, Daniel Reeves. A second beneficiary, Victor Hale. Gasps erupted around the table. Daniel's composure cracked. That's a strategic holding entity. It is fraud, Liang interrupted. The legal counsel began flipping through the documents rapidly, face pale. You forged her signature while she was under medical sedation, Liang continued. You diluted her voting shares illegally. You conspired to remove a majority owner through deception. Victor's voice shook. Sir, we increased quarterly profits at the cost of integrity. Chairman Liang turned to me. Ms. Carter, as majority shareholder and co-founder, would you like to address your board? The room was watching me again. But this time, the power had shifted. I set my cardboard box gently on the table. Then I walked to the head. To my place. Daniel's eyes followed me. Not cold now. Panicked. You betrayed me, I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. You didn't just steal my company. You stole my trust. My marriage. My name. Daniel swallowed. Olivia, we can fix this privately. Privately? I laughed softly. You fired me publicly. Victor stood suddenly. This is a misunderstanding. The doors opened again. 2 uniformed officers entered, followed by a federal investigator. Chairman Liang didn't look surprised. I forwarded the audit to authorities yesterday, he said calmly. Fraud at this scale requires accountability. The investigator addressed Daniel and Victor. Gentlemen, you are under investigation for financial fraud, identity falsification, and conspiracy. Daniel turned to me desperately. You wouldn't let this happen. I met his gaze. 15 years of memories flickered in a second. The proposal. The apartment. The late-night takeout during product launches. Then the hospital room. The forged signature. The vote. I didn't let this happen, I said quietly. You did. They were escorted out. In silence. The same hallway where I had walked humiliated an hour earlier. Now employees gathered again, but this time, the whispers were different. Not pity. Shock. Justice. When the doors closed behind them, the board sat frozen. Chairman Liang cleared his throat. Effective immediately, Daniel Reeves and Victor Hale are removed from all corporate positions pending legal proceedings. He turned to me. Ms. Carter, if you are willing, the chair recognizes you as CEO. My throat tightened. The room waited. I accept, I said. Applause started hesitantly, then grew. Not thunderous, but sincere. After the meeting, I remained alone in the boardroom. The adrenaline faded, and the weight returned. Not of humiliation, but of loss. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Dr. Aaron Patel stepped inside, our company's head of medical research, and the man who had visited me every evening in the hospital when Daniel was too busy. You okay? He asked gently. I exhaled slowly. I think so. He handed me a cup of coffee. You know, he said quietly, I always wondered why Daniel pushed so hard to isolate you from operations while you were recovering. I looked at him. You suspected? I trusted you, he replied. And that was enough. There was no grand confession. No dramatic declaration. Just warmth. Steady. Patient. Real. Outside the window, the city's skyline shimmered. Carter Tower. Still mine. Aaron hesitated. There's something else. My heart skipped. More fraud. He smiled faintly. No. Something good. He pulled a folded paper from his coat pocket. My latest medical results. Clear. Completely clear. After months of uncertainty. After the surgery. After everything. Tears blurred my vision. You're healthy, he said softly. For the first time that day, I felt light. The door opened once more. Chairman Liang stood there. Ms. Carter, he said, a rare smile forming. The board has approved an ethics reform initiative. I would like you to lead it personally. I nodded. Not as a victim. Not as a survivor. But as a leader. Justice wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It stood quietly in truth and let consequences unfold. Daniel would face trial. Victor would answer for his greed. And I would rebuild. Stronger. Transparent. Untouchable. Aaron stepped beside me at the window. Dinner tonight? He asked gently. I looked at the city below. At the future waiting. Yes, I said. And this time, when someone knocked on my door, it wasn't to take something from me. It was to stand beside me.